This show is sponsored by CLN Wash. Discover physician-developed skincare solutions specifically designed for compromised skin. Starting in the shower, CLN's skincare line of products helps promote healthy, refreshed, and comfortable skin. Visit clnwash.com to learn more and find the perfect products for your skincare needs. Guys, you know that I don't promote anything on this show that I don't personally advocate for, and I'm thrilled to share this hidden gem with you. As a lifelong athlete, working out and sweating have always been a part of my regular routine. It wasn't until college, when I was a cheerleader, that I developed back knee. I couldn't wear shirts with low backs and felt super self-conscious in my own skin. I was recommended CLN Wash by my dermatologist back then, and it cleared my breakouts. Today, I still use this product for a nice clean wash in the shower. Use code Sabrina for buy one, get one on your first purchase. Welcome to I'm Well Aware, the show that'll leave you more aware than you were before. I'm your host, Sabrina Schielein, and I'm here to help sift through the noise of wellness. Come with me on a never-ending journey to live a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled life. I'm glad you're here. I interview expert guests and people with incredible stories. We have a lot to learn from each other, so let's dive in. Anthony, so happy to have you on I'm Well Aware today. How was your trip over here today?
My trip over here was good. I had a bit of a busy day, so it was nice to just finally get on the train and go do something fun and creative and exciting.
So happy that you're joining me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something I was thinking of as I was walking over here was the fact that New York is such a special place. It's also really special if you have a vice of any kind because you can get it for free. I was walking over here and got 3 puffs of weed, a hookah in the throat, a cigarette, everything you could possibly need. It's just on the street.
My mom, when my mom came to visit when I first moved here, she's like, so do the smells just linger? And I'm like, it's a part of the environment. Yeah, I'm like, it's just kind of another thing that is a part of it.
It's a culture.
Yeah, it's a culture, baby. Gotta love it.
Are you a morning person or are you a night owl?
That's such an interesting question. So I'm a recently transformed morning person. So in college, I couldn't get work done unless the sun was down. I was very much more productive at night, and just, I don't know, I preferred getting stuff done while everyone else was asleep. I have ADD, so I get distracted really easy. So no music when I would get work done, or no distractions of any sort is usually my most productive environment. But I had this shift. I don't know, everything changed when I turned 25. This was 2 years ago, and I'm like, why is everything that I used to do not the way I like to do it now? But I started getting up earlier, and I just felt like I had so much more time in my day. And I feel like with New York, you can't afford to cut it close like you can in other places. You gotta have a little bit of wiggle room, just for whatever, the train, the bikes, or whatever. You get there, your bike, there's no white bikes, only blue. You gotta do something. So I think I transformed into a morning person in the past year, but I love it now. I get up bright and early. I'm up when the sun's up, chug some water, get some sun on my skin, and then get the day started. I try to knock my tougher tasks out earlier in the day so that as the day goes on, I'm not increasingly getting more worn out and tired.
Yeah, I'm trying to shift to exactly what you're saying.
It's a journey, but when I I'm like, oh my goodness, this is. But it was such a foreign concept to me at first, because I'm like, I need all the sleep I can get. I will make sure I'm ready to go for the day. But you just being awake before everyone else is awake kind of just gives you that peace and that time to take the morning slow and then attack the day with a real plan instead of just kind of aimlessly moving through tasks. You know what I mean?
Rushing to
I'm such a rusher. I've never been remotely on time to anything in my entire life. So I'm
you were perfectly. You were early
here,
today.
I made it. No, yeah, I was on time. I was really excited to be here. So I had to put some pep in my step on the way.
Oh, thank you. I made sure to get some good sleep last night. For those who listened to last week's episode, I did mention how the night before my last podcast recording, I went to bed at 5 a.m. But for those listening, I did go to bed last night at 10:30, and I woke up at like 6:30.
Hell yeah. How do you feel?
I feel much better today than
Good.
last episode.
Heck yeah.
Do you like to cook or do you like takeout?
I cook every meal pretty much during the week. Me and my roommate have a system where like we cook for each other. I cook most of the time. TJ, if you see this, you know I cook most of the time.
Does he at least clean?
He cleans, yeah. He
Okay.
cleans. If he cooks, I clean. If I cook, he cleans.
Okay.
Yeah, but
It's good balance.
we have a great system. Yeah, but I like the way my food tastes, so and he likes it too. So like he lets me cook most of the meals. But we always like try to eat at home during the week, so that on the weekend we can do whatever we want. Whether that's like, you know, cook every breakfast and lunch and dinner Monday through Friday, then go eat out every meal on the weekend. Like we kind of by that point in the week are like sitting pretty because we kind of punched our clock during the week. So we'll prep a couple of days or two. I'll make like pasta that'll last us like dinner for 2 nights or something. We can kind of just jump on it. I always make like eggs, avocado toast like for us in the morning with some spinach or something, some fruit. And then, yeah, we just eat like big boys at night and try to get all our like, you know, protein, carbs that we need and fat.
If you're ever looking for a roommate or you have an application for a roommate, I like to clean.
Okay,
So
period.
I feel like we'd be a good match.
Nice, very nice. Cleaning is also one of those things that didn't click for me until it clicked. Like when I started waking up early, I started loving my space being clean and knowing the importance of my space being clean. Like and just how much more productive I can be with my like clean space. Because I wasn't a cleaner. Like I definitely wasn't a cleaner my whole life. I think more in the recent years, I've loved my like cleanliness.
Listen, clean house, clean mind, like
Exactly.
goes
yeah.
hand in hand.
Exactly. I agree.
I want to hear about your journey from how you got to New York and what that's been like, because I know that you started off in a different career path. So I would love for you to tell the listeners your journey of how you got here.
Absolutely. I still get like goosebumps like talking about it. So I went to the University of Georgia, graduated there. Straight out of college, I went to work at Emory, which is a big hospital in Atlanta where I'm from. And I was a surgical assistant there, surgical tech in orthopedic surgery. So kind of just like holding things open and kind of seeing post-operative appointments with patients and stuff like that.
No queasiness.
No queasiness. I like got bored if there was a day I didn't see blood or something or like something just like, you know, a little messy. But I'm an adrenaline junkie. So like those like medical situations where you really have to like be super sharp and like critically think and make a decision quickly, like I kind of thrive in that environment. But I did quickly realize it's super, like, although it's super fulfilling, like, helping people in that way, it's very exhausting. And with the American healthcare system, you can just get burnt out super quickly. It's not really going in the direction that, like, that's not going to be the case anytime soon. So I was like, I got to make something shake. So I tried out for the Tennessee Titans cheerleading team in June of 2022. I was fortunate enough to make the team. I packed all of my stuff, moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and I was like, I'm going to be a pro cheerleader. Like, I'm going to be an NFL cheerleader. And I was still actually working a corporate science job that I got after I left the hospital. Because I was like, okay, I might still want to go to PA school or medical school. That was, like, my original journey, my original, like, plan. So I took another science job that I could work remote and moved to Tennessee and also still cheer. So I was doing that. And then I hated that too. I was like, I can't. And I knew I've always been I've always been a great performer. I've like always been great at taking photos. So I kind of just shot my shot with my agent and I was like, I cannot work my normal job anymore. Like, let me go try to be a model. Like, so I submitted my photos. My agent in classic fashion, Mark Block, he emailed me back 3 minutes later and was like, when can you meet? And I was like, okay, I can meet. And then we met, I signed the contract, and everything after that just, like, shot up, like, changed. He, like, changed my life, my agent back in Nashville. And, yeah, after that, I don't know. I guess we signed the contract, and I think Reebok. Yeah, Reebok was my first big job. They hit me up, and I'm like Reebok?
So cool.
Yeah, no, I'm like, there's no way. I mean, there's brands we grew up all wearing, like, and then after that, it was Fruit of the Loom, then it was Hanes, and it was just, like, kind of, like, underwears and stuff that our grandparents wore. And I'm like, oh, well, this is like kind of like my thing. So now, and then I was super fortunate to just like have the people like around me that I had to put me in the places that I had and meet the clients that I could meet. And yeah, I kind of did that in Nashville once everything started, I guess, taking off. I was in my second season cheering at Titans, and things just started to not go as well for me there. From a performance standpoint, I feel like I was kind of outgrowing the situation there a little quicker than it was keeping up with my trajectory. So I had to make the tough decision to leave my team in the middle of the season and chase my dream. And I packed my bags up, moved to New York, and I didn't look back, and everything. I'm so glad I did it.
I love your story and where you came from and where you are today. One of my first podcasts that I listened to, I've been a podcast fan for 10 years, so I've been listening to tons since then, and one was called Second Life.
Okay.
And they would interview people who had changed career paths and pivoted, and I really always found it so inspiring to just hear the different directions that people were going. And something I want to call out is that with you, you are doing amazing, you've always been doing amazing things that are other people's dreams.
Yeah.
It's someone's dream to be on the Titans. It's someone's dream to be in orthopedic surgery.
Yeah.
It's someone's dream to be a model in New York. Like, there's so many things that I think people kind of feel like they fail if they change their direction or they don't initially.
I felt like that for a long time. I'm sure you have. I'm sure we all have, yeah.
You don't go after originally what you told people that you were going to do or this version that people have in their head of who you should be.
Absolutely.
So I think it's
Imposter syndrome just starts creeping in. You're like, oh, well, I did kind of already say I was going to do this. It's never too early or too late to change exactly who you want to be. Like, you can be whoever you want, whenever you want, do whatever you want.
And, like, how did the shift in your environment and what you were doing day to day really shift your own personal joy and just happiness overall?
Oh my goodness, I cannot describe the joy that I feel from knowing that I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and doing what fulfills me and fills my cup. Tell people to just pay attention more to your surroundings and your environment. There's always little subtle, I don't know, the universe just has little ways of showing you you are doing what you're supposed to be, and you just have to kind of open your eyes to those, and I'm always looking out for those small confirmations. They're everywhere, but I definitely feel I've never felt more at home, and I've never felt surrounded by people that can fill me with so much love and light and just in the right place. So I'm so happy. You just got to trust it. You just got to trust that gut and go. Yeah.
No, you absolutely have to.
For sure.
Now, Anthony, what does wellness mean to you? I love this question because I think wellness is such a broad category, and there's so many things that can encompass what it is. But for you personally, what makes you feel well? Yeah,
for sure. So I think my definition of wellness is predicated on awareness of who you are, what makes you feel good, and what doesn't make you maybe feel as good, right? Whether that's your self-care that you do or just people that you're around. I like to really take note of who I'm around when I feel my best, what I'm doing when I feel my best, what I ate when I feel literally, it's write a list. If you know that you're having a great day, you can copy and paste that day. For the most part, you may not have the same schedule, but everything that's in your control, you can control and maybe repeat that, Preparation can take such a big part in your wellness because like we were talking about earlier about the train, if you fail to prepare for that and you're rushing and you got to just you're so frantic, it's not going to be, may not work out for you as well as if you actually take the time to prepare before and then you got a more smooth sailing day after. So I think wellness is really about awareness and knowing who you are, knowing yourself, getting more in touch with yourself and realizing who you're around, what you're doing when you feel your best, and the things that make you feel not as good and try to obviously stack on the things that do and try to minimize the things that don't.
It sounds like I paid you to say awareness for my show. I'm well aware, but I didn't.
But she did not.
I didn't.
She did not.
And that's really what I truly feel in my heart, and is what I'm trying to do on this podcast is just be more aware of the goodness around us. And
awareness is so important.
What makes people happy, what makes people feel good, and all these senses, and hearing each other's perspective at least helps me a ton to day by day get closer and closer to, it's a never-ending journey to figure out the broad spectrum of wellness and what that looks like.
You probably know this all about me already. Like, I like to yap. Like, I love yapping. So, like, even just, I tell when my friends come visit or my family and everything, I'm like, they have no clue, like, how much they're healing me, like, by just by just having a conversation, like, just being there, hanging out, especially after a long day. I love to just, like, hang out with some friends and, like, decompress and, like, yap and, like, vent. So, little things like that. If you don't have your eyes open enough to how good that something like that can feel, even though it feels really simple, maybe your outlook on life in general is a direction of how much you like yourself, I think. Like, typically, like, your outlook is gonna, like, kind of match your vibe. Human connection, even something that we are so used to and we see every day, and we maybe, like, kind of diminish the importance of, because it's such important. Like, take more note of what makes you feel good. If I could give one piece of advice, take note of when you feel good and what your environment is doing, because that is why you feel that way, even if you don't really recognize it.
Oh, 100%. I am, like, the first one to say that without community and without connection with people, like, you feel down, you feel low.
Oh my God, yeah.
During the fall, when I was training for the marathon, I replaced all of my my social activities with running and isolation. And my schedule was all over the place. I couldn't really join clubs because I would try to sign up and I wouldn't be able to make it because work would get in the way or something. And I didn't really take human connection that seriously.
Right.
And I found myself in, like, such a, dark place of just isolation and not even realizing it. I'm like, oh, I'm being so fit and I'm running and I'm being fit in this way. But my mental health in that perspective took a back seat. And, like, I've just learned from that. I'm like, I tell everyone, I'm like, do activities with people, run with people, say yes to things. I mean, we met through an activity by saying yes and by going after something.
So random.
We met at Chelsea Piers doing gymnastics with our friend Brendan.
One of the best nights ever, literally.
It was so much fun.
It was so fun.
We got to go back, first of all.
We will, for sure.
But I think, transitioning into that space, Anthony, I think the concept of saying yes is so important. Yeah. We hold ourselves back, like we were saying, if you are in a depression, if you are, maybe fear of the unknown, fear of whatever it might be. But when you do say yes, it's probably a handful of times that I've said yes to something and regretted it.
Right.
Like,
or even like said yes and like knew every detail like about it. Like I say yes a lot with I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna pull it off, like, but I'm gonna pull it off. Like, and just kind of say yes and figure the rest out later, right? Like,
But even like for someone like me, maybe you who has like ADD, OCD, these different, things, like I love to know details. I love to know what I'm getting into. And I found that, for the past couple of years, I've like let that go.
Isn't that a great
I've just
feeling?
let it go, and whatever's gonna happen, happens.
Yeah.
And if something bad happens, all right.
Right.
You deal with it.
Yeah.
But I think that like mentality of saying yes and being open to the unknown is like sent me way farther in my own life and my own happiness than I could have imagined.
Of course, yeah. I think it's important when you were talking about, like, I know that you're a goal-driven gal. Like, I'm a pretty goal-driven person, too. And, like, when you can, you put your mind to that one thing and you're like, I'm going to do it. Like, this is my grind. The way I do anything is the way I do everything. Like, let's just commit. And then, like, before you know it, like you said, you're like, oh, wow, what am I doing? Like, you kind of get lost in the sauce, I like to say. So I definitely can relate to that, and just like the importance of balance, like all the way around, especially even when you are like committing to something like a big goal like that.
And in that same realm, with saying yes, you end up learning so much more than you thought.
Yeah.
Why is it important for people to push themselves, to learn new skills? I think when we went to gymnastics, like you were whipping out some crazy stuff that in my head I'm like, wow, I can never do that. But like if I really put my mind to it,
you're capable
I can.
Of anything. Yeah.
I was telling Chris and team here, like I got my first aerial ever after doing gymnastics. I think that day or after not being able to do it my whole life.
Right.
So what is the importance of just like pushing yourself to do something new, especially at our
Yes,
age, like getting
yes.
older and
I don't like to limit myself with anything. Like I try to think of myself as a pretty limitless person. But yeah, there's so much importance in trying new things and getting out of your comfort zone. Like you can't do the same shit and expect different results, right? So like you gotta do something different. Say yes to something different. I mean, we're like, definitely maybe I was gonna say past our primes. We're not past our primes at all. So yeah, but like most, I was an elite gymnast growing up. I was a level 10 gymnast, and like some of these skills I can still do. Believe it or not, like, and I thought, some of these skills I would be like, I didn't think I was good. So once I stopped cheering in college, I took 2 years off because of COVID, and then I'm like, I can go pro. And I didn't even cheer until college. Like I was a gymnast growing up, but like I ran track at first in college, and when I was kind of like sick of that, I was like, well, I want to play a sport, but it can't be running. And then I tried out for the cheer team after like not knowing a single thing about cheer ever, and made the team, and then I went pro. So I'm like, you can just keep lifting. Yeah, you can do it. Like it's possible. It's definitely possible, but you first have to believe that it's already yours. Like everything, any sort of goal that I'm setting out for, like it's mine. Like in my head, it's less about like, oh, can I do this? It's more like, how am I doing this, or how am I going to map out the steps to do it? And yeah, you're never too old or too young to pick up a new skill. Skills are so cool. They lead you to people that enjoy things that are similar to you. They kind of just work that muscle in your brain for whatever skill it is. And honestly, like you said, you got your aerial after so many years of trying maybe, and like, how is it that somehow at this age we're still getting stronger and better and more talented at things, right? Isn't that so like I think that's such a beautiful thing. Like you said, yeah, we're not past our primes at all. Like I'm still going up.
What do they say? 40s.
The new 30s. Yeah, literally 40s the new 30s. They are. I bet they are. I mean, think about it. Also, do you know one of the craziest realizations that I've had in my adult life is like realizing that like everyone is just as clueless as we are. Like, when you're growing up and your parents are very parental and like adult-like, and then you get to our age and you can like kind of out-decision make your parents sometimes, or like even just people that you look up to or admire. It's weird that we're all kind of just walking each other home, living the same life, like with different kind of day-to-day activities.
I think that's such an important thing that you bring up, is just the fact of like making your own decisions, being the one who's going after it, but then also following through, despite if someone else doesn't see your vision, if someone else doesn't see your goal. I mean, when I first started podcasting, my parents were like,
they're like,
"You're doing what?
Yeah.
What does that mean?"
Could you imagine?
Now I'm in a studio and doing it from here and interviewing you, and it's like when you first start, it's really unknown. And I think it's really easy to get discouraged when people doubt you. And
podcasting is, podcasting is a bit of a saturated market, right? But like, that what you have to say is important, right? Like, so you're right. You can't let that, like, that your stuff is quality.
They're all excuses.
Yeah, no, literally.
I've heard that so many times. I found a stat that told me that 90% of podcasts that start don't get past episode 3.
Nice.
And that of that 10%, 90% don't get past episode 20. Last year I did 40. This year you're my 9th.
That is so sick.
It's those little increments. I think when you look back at, and also like keeping track of what you're doing is a good thing. If you're recording like you're tumbling or you're tracking, whatever it is your hobby might be, in the moment, it might seem like, oh, I don't know, if I go on a run today, it might not even be worth it. But then when you look back at the schedule of all the runs that you've done and how many miles you've done, like, it'll be so surprising to
and if
see it
every
that
day
way.
that you didn't feel your best, you were like, let's just scratch it off. You'd have a lot of days where you can't just go when you feel good, like whether that's about wellness or anything, you can't just do it when you're at 100% because you would literally never get anything done, right? But yes, the consistency factor of it, when you like just keep showing up, like don't even think about tomorrow, just show up today, and then in 10 days and 100 days and 1,000 days, you've got so many days stacked up because you were just consistent.
Yeah, and that's where the real change is. I think people get overwhelmed by the pressure of the outcome or the goal that they want, and it seems so unrealistic to get there. But realistically, if you break it up into smaller bits and you work on things one at a time, like Chris, if you want to do a backflip,
Sign me up.
we'll get you working up to it. that's definitely been like super inspiring to me, and hearing your story and just meeting other people who are in this mentality of the figure-outable mentality
Yes.
is really what it is.
No excuses, just do it.
It's like,
yeah.
if there's a will, there truly is a way.
Why is that not more commonly understood, though? Like,
Yeah.
like I literally, if you want to do something bad enough, there's a way to do it. Is there anything that you really can't do? At least.
And I think that's where like true inner confidence comes from, is not only like just believing in yourself, but then when you do these things, you build your own confidence.
You prove
because
to
you
yourself.
realize like, oh, I can do that. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do that. And then you get past and you think about what's next on the list.
The value of that is huge. I would definitely say some of my smaller goals empowered me to achieve my bigger ones, or they allowed me to have the courage to go for them. 'Cause like anything, it starts small and it gets bigger. I think goals are the same way. Like, you prove to yourself you can do this one. All right, let's level it up. Let me see if I can do this. And then you just keep checking them off, and then you end up where you want to be.
No, I love it. And the next goal that you have set for yourself and that you're doing is berries.
Yes.
I'd love to talk about berries.
Yes.
What an awesome class. When did you decide to get into berries, and what was that like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started at Barry's in Nashville when I was cheering for the Titans still. It's Barry's, if you don't know what it is, quick 10-second description. It's like a group fitness class where you run half the time and you lift weights half the time. So I teach people kind of just like us, whatever their fitness goal is, whether it's to jump higher, run faster, get stronger, I help them get closer to that, or just kind of feel good in their bodies. And I started in Nashville, and I taught at Barry's in Nashville up until I was ready to leave my team and move to New York. And then I got approval I had to jump through a couple hoops through Barry's New York, because Barry's in New York is a huge deal. Like, everyone loves it. But they actually allowed me to come up here and teach at Barry's in New York. Pretty tough opportunity for me to get together, because I hadn't been at the company for very long when I'm asking for them to move me to another state. But luckily it all worked out, and I moved up here, and I'm so happy that I got that opportunity, because I love teaching up here, and I just love seeing people get the most of themselves and get the best of themselves and give me their best.
You're a great motivator.
Oh my goodness, yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm a big cheerleader. Just like I am outside of the room, I'm like that inside of the room. Like, when I say I'm a cheerleader, I'm in every way. So I think they love that. And yeah, Barry's is just fun. Honestly, I get to make all my music, and I have my own personal training business where I train privately, train clients on the side. So I get to meet a lot of clients through Barry's that actually want more help outside of the studio, and they get to ask me whatever their specific goal is. I can get more specific in our private training. So yeah, Barry's has been great. I love everything about it, honestly. And my private training has been such a great journey, just meeting new people in New York, and kind of forming a community of people that maybe know clients that I could take on, or just know people that are looking for my services. The fitness world is so big and so nice, such so many great people to get in touch with in New York. I mean, it's kind of the cream of the crop as far as places that I've lived when it comes to and a lot of things when it comes to group fitness, and it's been great so far.
I need to come to one of your classes soon.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't been yet.
I got you covered, don't worry.
But fitness is, like we were saying before, fitness is so important. Why is fitness really important in your wellness journey?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Absolutely. So I feel every fitness model or just fitness professional says this, but it really is my life. There was never a time in my life, I can hardly remember a time in my life where I wasn't playing sports or doing something active. And now that I am an adult and I can regulate my own emotions and think for myself more, fitness is literally how I get through the day. When I get stressed, I know people think this is kind of crazy. When I get stressed, I go for a run, or I go lift, and I go work out. Or if I'm just having a little bit too much on my plate that day, I have to go sweat. And I don't know, that's what makes me feel better, and releasing those endorphins, and just kind of having time with myself or with someone else, whether depending on the type of training I'm doing. It can literally change. I mean, I don't know how many benefits of fitness there are, but it is literally, I can't overstate the effect on my mental health that fitness has. And just, I think everyone everyone's body responds to fitness the same way. They just have to figure out what they like. A lot of people view fitness as a chore because they just don't know what they like. And it took me a while to figure out what I like. And I'm an elite athlete, you know, like it takes time to, like I said, take note of where you feel best and what you're doing when you feel your best and what you like and what you can be more successful at. Because like you said, like it's about wellness overall, right, in general, is a combination of a lot of things, right? Like fitness is just one portion of that, but I do think it pours into a lot of the other portions of like wellness. And I think if you start, that's a great place to start. Even if your diet's not in check, you can work out and feel a lot better already, and then you can like take care of your diet, and then you can take care of other things like that. But yeah, to me, fitness is pretty much everything. It's how I get through the day. It's obviously my passion professionally, and I don't even think about it now as like this thing that I do. It really is a part of who I am. You know, like it's just kind of, when I wake up, I'm going to work out. I'm going to, you know, do my stuff. And I like that. I love that. It's not like a thing on my schedule that I'm like, oh, I got to go do this. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait till I get to.
It's a privilege.
Yeah, it's
really
it really
a
is a
privilege
privilege
to be able to move, to
Absolutely.
be able to move your body and to stay fit.
Yeah.
I think also too, from the fact that you used to work in orthopedic surgery, you probably saw a lot of injuries and things that maybe could have been prevented if there was some more fitness incorporated
100%.
and mobility,
strength training
incorporated. It's like that's another huge part of it too, is like it's like amazing for your mental health.
Yeah.
Two, it
Injury
can prevent you
yeah.
in the future from getting hurt and like your longevity. I totally understand and relate. Like when I was younger doing gymnastics, whenever we would do conditioning, they kind of like positioned it as punishment. Like if someone did something wrong in practice, we would all have to,
bear crawl,
you know, bear crawl or push-ups or run laps, whatever it is, whatever sport I was playing. And I think, weirdly, I think it was the wrong way to position it at an early age to kids when you're teaching them about fitness. Like I wish that, yes, it was a team-built it's a team activity, a lot of them. Even the individual sports, you're all practicing on the same area and you're working together on your different goals. But I wish that there's like maybe a meditation. I think I saw that like in some schools, instead of like putting kids into timeout or into detention, they're like bringing them more into like a meditative state. And like I'm sure a lot of them, it might go over their head, but maybe one day they'll look back and be like, you know, I'm kind of glad that they taught me how to breathe when I was freaking out. Also, it's hard for people to go to the gym, to get in that space if they've never been before. And like the excuses that are so easy to pile up, and they do for me too at times. If someone's looking to get started into fitness, what would you recommend to them as like just jumping in?
To start, you have to get started. Don't make the excuses for yourself. Don't let any of them be good enough. Because there's that voice in your head, maybe if it's not something you're used to doing, there's definitely going to be maybe a voice in your head telling you, oh, today you don't have to go do that today, or you can just wait till tomorrow or push it off. Don't. Just commit and do it. Find what you like, find what you enjoy, find friends that you enjoy doing it with. Try something new. Like Sabrina and I met at literally adult gymnastics class. Like, you know, like just so random, but so awesome. I mean, I walked in there with no expectations, and I walked out like super happy about what we were able to do. And don't expect too much too soon out of yourself, you know? Like it's going to be ups and downs, especially if you don't have much experience with it. But I would say fitness is honestly more rewarding even than other things, because what you put in is what you get out. You know, let's say for a job, for example, we've all had jobs like this. Some of us still probably have jobs like this, but like you can sometimes put in so much into it, and that's like not recognized, seen, acknowledged this at all. Whereas fitness, if you punch your clock, if you do 100 push-ups, you will be sore the next day. Your chest will get bigger. Like if you run 10 miles, you'll be able to run 10 miles quicker next week. You know, like, or just whatever. It's always, the payback is very evident when the consistency is there. So yeah, just stick with it. Don't be too tough on yourself, but be a little tough on yourself just to make sure you show up.
I love that. Yeah. With like being sore, like don't try to do too much at once, because you're not going to be able to go back, you know, tomorrow if you've like exhausted your muscles too hard in the beginning, thinking that you need to do 2 hours at the gym to see any results. Like it's not the one day, it's the
The consistency, and that's the hard part, right? Like that's a good point. The easy part is showing up once, honestly. If you can do that, like you are in the right, moving in the right direction, but like the consistency, compounding, I mean, it's like putting a penny in a jar every day.
I'm sure even in class and with your personal training,
Yeah.
people might have injuries or they're nervous to work out if they have something going on. Like, how do you approach, different types of injuries in class and dealing with how to guide them through that workout safely?
Yeah, of course. There's always something you can do. I've been really lucky to only have like over 20 plus years of flipping and jumping in the air, jumping off of stuff, like a couple major injuries, but I was able to train through any time I got hurt. There's always something you can do. There's always a way you can modify to the level of preparedness that you're at that day. And like your level of preparedness is going to vary based on who you are, your injuries or physical limitations. So I always have modifications for every exercise that I'm demanding that people do just in case. And with certain muscle groups, you kind of have certain modifications that are like more popularized, you would say. But there's always someone that has some random flare up that you're going to have to be able to work around. My private clients especially, I'm like, be honest, like you should always be telling me how you feel, like from a pain standpoint, from a difficulty or effort standpoint, just so I can make their training as specific as possible, right? So modifying is everything, and working within your skill set. Like you want to push yourself to the limit, but not past your limit, right? So that you can show up again tomorrow. Because like you said, some people show up, they go as hard as they can, 5 days, like they got this full week done, then they can't go back for 5 months, right? Because literally they just they're sore, they're tired, they're mentally not used to the sensation. So yes, soreness is going to be there. Don't expect not to be sore if you want to be fit.
It's like you get to the point where you realize that the soreness actually is like the best feeling.
Exactly, because you're getting stronger. You're getting, you're better. You're getting out of it what you want to put into it. Something that I think people, sensitive topic sometimes in the fitness world, you just have to eat. You have to eat like whatever, your dietary like baseline is. Find what works for you, what foods you like. What's kind of same with fitness. There are healthy foods that you like. Everyone has healthy foods that they like. If you don't know those yet, you just got to figure them out. But yes, being consistent with that, and just being graceful with yourself, having grace with yourself. With any new journey, with people who have been doing it for a long time, it's like any skill. I feel like I keep saying that, but anything that you repetitively do, you are going to build habit to it, right? So it's all about just getting started and making a rhythm, finding that stride, finding that rhythm. And if it's something that is important to you, you'll prioritize it.
If you had an ideal fitness day, like what would that consist of for you?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. So I've always been more of an endurance athlete, so it would definitely have it would have multiple like kind of endurance parts to it. So definitely like a run, swim, bike type of deal. I love biking. I love biking more so because I love running, but I can't do it all the time, right? So like it's a great non-weight bearing exercising. Swimming is amazing for your like entire body. Plus it builds your engine like crazy. You're literally underwater. So I love that. And then I love Olympic weightlifting. So power cleaning and snatching, anything where you get to be really fast and explosive. The slow and the like kind of just more static movements, I struggle. I like being powerful. Yeah, I love to go into the well. I know that's not everyone's style, but like I love like literally like going into a dark place when I'm training. Like
what do you listen to?
What I listen to, I'm more of a like EDM for the workout, like country for abs, like yeah, no, literally, like the workout, I'm going hard EDM music, like high BPM, like 128 is the minimum BPM.
Why are abs country?
I don't know. I just love country and like a little Morgan Wallen for abs, like Luke Combs. I don't know. It just feels because you're like kind of on the end of the workout. I do abs at the end of my workouts, and I just like
wind down.
Yeah, wind down as I get that burn in for sure. Random, but it works.
I remember when I ran the New York City Marathon. An old coworker told me that like I shouldn't really run with music, so I didn't, and it was the worst decision that I made. I was trying to be like so tough and just run with the noise.
Sometimes you need it.
No, 26 miles. I think everyone probably needs
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
It's a
I mean, I
long
already
distance,
have, like-
especially if you love music. Like I feel like you and me,
Yeah.
like love music.
Yeah.
It definitely energizes you, especially when, you know, we grew up
You're
doing
getting-
gymnastics and cheer, and there was always like movements and rhythm and motion tied to what we were doing.
Yeah.
Like I ski to music. Like I feel like I need music when I'm
Of course.
working out.
It
And
distracts you, yeah.
distracts you, but also like keeps you in the beat. Like
Right.
sometimes I find myself like dancing while working
Oh,
out.
of course, yeah. And like running can take running to the beat can take a lot of the mental like part out of it. You know, like you're not just getting tired physically, like you're also getting mentally tired. So in a marathon, especially like as those miles click off, you got to have something to like focus on, right? That besides the pain that you're in. So I think music kind of, even if it's just a song you forgot about or like whatever, like has such a powerful effect on just distracting you kind of sometimes, whether that's like in the middle of like some physical exertion or like in the middle of just a hard time, you know?
Yeah. So music is definitely like a self-care for me.
Yeah.
Seems like it is for you.
Yeah.
What other kind of self-care is really important to you that if you're either like by yourself or you're winding down that just helps you to be in like a great place?
Yeah, for sure. I've noticed that breath work has definitely had a positive effect on my nervous system and calming myself down and kind of just setting the intention for my days. And I told you I kind of struggle focusing. So when I say breath work, I'm not there for like 30 minutes, you know, like I'm like just literally breathing deeply for 5 to 10 minutes, like thinking about my day and like setting my intention. That has had great effect on me. I haven't journaled as much as I would like to, but I have noticed that every time I do get some clarity from it. It's something that I would like to be better about moving forward. Because I know like everyone talks about, oh my God, journaling's great. And I do feel that, but like I have to integrate it into my schedule better.
Yeah.
Would love to. You can hold me accountable for that. Would love
Yeah.
to do that better moving on.
I journal a ton and writing though is, I'm a lefty. I kind of hate writing because my hand gets covered in ink.
Of course,
and,
yeah, you're dragging it.
you know, all that. But I feel like since I've been watching Sex and the City again, I've been like seeing Carrie like on her computer, typing out her like essays and being in that similar mindset of like how she talks.
Reflection,
like
yeah.
helps me to like look inward.
Of course.
And to write it down and just get it out there. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, that's how I'm really feeling.
Exactly.
It's hard, I think, when we're on the go so much to slow it down, to really like reflect
Yeah.
inward, to take that time for ourselves. So
Definitely.
So breath work, more journaling, anything else that stands out that you love.
absolutely. Just looking inward, like I think a lot of people all comes back to that awareness thing, right? I think looking inward and like if I ever am having a day where I feel weird or I feel off or just kind of not normal, it's normal to not feel normal. And just kind of recognize that. But like I said, just looking inward and like seeing what the root and just not trying to place blame on. When I'm having a like frustrating day or like shitty day, I'm like, oh, well, like all this other stuff is happening now. You know, it's like, what is really the cause of why you feel this way about why you feel what you feel? And yeah, I think looking inward and just being aware of who you are and what you believe in and what you like and dislike, all just is this big umbrella of wellness because there are so many people, like you said, that are going to talk you out of your real dream, and there are so many people that dreams are just simply different than yours. That's okay, but like. If you let those there's too many of those factors to be successful if you don't put your foot down. You know, like you have to put your foot down to like be able to make it past those like obstacles and things. So I think, just kind of being aware and being graceful with yourself. Concrete things that I like to do are just, like I said, hydrate. Make sure I'm sweating if I need to sweat or lifting when I need to lift. Being around people that make me feel great and that make me feel like a champion and like I belong. And like, so for example, everyone has different personal like priorities or values. Like to me, I love when people make me feel confident. I love when people make me feel like I can speak to them and confide in them. And just I love when people make me feel at home and welcome. So if I know that that's important to me, I'm going to try to prioritize putting myself in positions where I can be that person in that way.
It's crazy because as we get older, we realize that, you know, we get to choose who we're spending our time with. And
So much control.
There was definitely times growing up where like I was hanging out with people that I felt so shitty hanging out with. and I didn't feel like the best version of myself, and was constantly trying to, make them happy when nothing I could have done would have ever made them happy. But really, as you get to be an adult, you realize, like, where do I feel most myself?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's important to keep trying to get to and keep trying to push towards.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Georgia, like, and everyone that I went to middle school, high school, college with married the first person that they liked and either are divorced already or, like, on their way to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that was something I never wanted to do. I knew that I didn't feel in congruence with that idea and just, like, marrying the first person that I liked on a date night in college. But a lot of people around me were definitely on that. But you have to be able to, like you said, separate what you want from what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never wanted that to be my life. I knew I wanted to move out of the South and get as far away as possible from that. And here I am. So, like...
And it's hard also to do something that you've never been done before.
Mm-hmm. How do you start, right?
Like I think for that, like, at least what helps me is traveling. Like, if you can, and you are able to travel anywhere.
I agree.
Just seeing the world from a different perspective, from a different town's view.
Yeah.
Even if it might not be where you want to live or what you want to do, it just opens your eyes up in so many ways. And I'm sure coming to New York, I mean, it's a huge
I've never felt more
eye-opener.
liberated.
And,
Yeah,
you know, about the way that people live here. People do anything on the street, and, like, no one cares.
No, you don't even bat an eye. Like, I've seen just the most. But isn't that so freeing? Like, I mean, sure, maybe there is some, like...
Maybe, like, the people don't need to be naked on the subway.
like
and,
that,
like, they don't need to pee. And
for sure.
I know.
Those things. But, like...
Next to me, but...
Yeah.
like,
No,
those things I could live
seriously.
without.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
But no one cares. And
Of
I
course.
think that, like, message is really the key of everything in life. Is, like,
There's something
no
positive
one
in every message.
actually cares what anyone else is doing. If anyone's going to judge you even for, whatever you just did, in 5 minutes they're going to move on to their own life, and they're going to move on to their own worries and their own struggle and whatever. And, like, you're going to be out of sight, out of mind. So why prevent yourself from going after something that no one cares about?
That's so true. I hound my friends. Anyone who is friends with me and that will see this, you already know. I'm like, so what's your dream? How are you getting closer to your dream this week? I'm like, so what's your real dream? Like, because, like, anyone, it's not that I don't feel like they're doing that, but I'm always, like, checking just to make sure. I'm like, so, like, are you getting closer to your dream? I was talking to my therapist about, I'm like, my goal setting and just my dreams and stuff, and he, like, had to be like, well, do you want this because you want it, or do you want people to see that you have it? And, like, that, I think, is huge when it comes to podcasting or your passion project or whatever that is. Like, if you just want to do it because you want people to see that you have it, that's not your real dream. But if you really want it and you feel it coming out of you and it pours out of every inch of your frame, like, I remember when I first decided I wanted to be a model in New York, I'm like, I will do anything. I will stop at nothing until I'm a supermodel, and, like, if you want it bad enough, it'll happen for sure.
And the crazy thing too that I hear from people is, when I do tell them what I do and, like, what I'm passionate about, often I hear people say, it's so nice that you have something that you're passionate about, like, I don't have anything that I'm interested in, and I'm not creative, and I challenge that. I think we're all creative in our ways, and that, like, when you start just trying things out, you'll be able to figure out where you get pulled towards
Of
and
course.
what you enjoy and what you don't like, and then you'll move on to the next thing. But I think when people say they don't have a passion, I've really challenged them to travel, to explore, go down the street to that pottery class that you've been wanting to go to but haven't been going to, like, whatever it might be, just start.
And fate loves the fearless, right? You gotta it works out, but you can't expect it to work out without taking a little bit of risk. Like, you can't see the whole staircase, like, wait till you see the whole staircase to take that first step, right? Like, you just need to get after
Swan
it and let
dive
it.
off.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of let it happen. That's when it works out best, I think.
Anthony, thank you
was
so
I know,
much.
thank
This
you.
just flew
literally.
by.
This was amazing. Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on I'm Well Aware and
Thank you
just
for having
sharing
me.
all your positivity and your journey with us and just your outlook on life. It's really inspiring
Thank
to me, and I'm
you.
so glad we met on that gymnastics day.
I know. I'm so glad. Just thank you for having me. Yeah, this was so dope. I love yapping. I love talking. Like, such a great concept. Just thank you for doing this and being here.
Thanks for listening, and I'll see you back here next week on the path to becoming more aware.